Hey everyone, welcome to this Circuito live stream that we're doing here. It's awesome that we could make together. João, Tony, it's been a while that we don't record anything, but it's amazing to have you here. Everyone is a different setup. Tony and me used to work in the same office, but Tony is attending a huge event here in Brazil called Token Nation. I want you to,
Nice.
to grab a little bit of his insights. And we have a special guest here, Nelson. If you want, Nelson, please introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for having me. My name is Nelson. You know this. I am the CEO of XFounders Accelerator. We're an accelerator operating mostly in the Web3 space. Basically, what we do is we organize 1 month long in person boot camps, trying to bring the value back to the boot camp model. And we've done boot camps for ICP, Solana. This year, we're doing one in El Salvador around the Bitcoin ecosystem. And we also have a reality show that we will touch on that acts as a go-to-market strategy for our startups as well, kind of trying to capitalize on what we would call the attention economy, let's say, trying to bring traction back into the space as well. And very, very nice to meet you all.
Awesome, and thanks for accepting the invite, Nelson. It's awesome that you are doing exactly what we need for founders because attention is all we need for these amazing founders. João, please tell me what you're up to. How's everything with Picnic? Please update us.
Yeah, like it only gets worse. Have you seen that meme? Problems just get bigger.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it has been good, good problems. So we have been growing quite a bit. Uh, card like card orders have been increasing quite a lot. Starting to do more wide distribution. So not just focusing on like crypto users, but going after travel use cases for the Gnosis Pay card. That has been it's working. Like yeah, it's we're getting non-crypto natives to use the card. Um, but with that, they're like customer support is suffering quite a bit. It's something that we're spending time on. Lots of improvements to be made. So yeah, uh, happy that things are growing, but like super busy, super crazy, like uh, super overwhelmed. But that's good. Good overall.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, that's the good thing about growing, right? There is the busy part, but there's the good fact that you're like reaching new milestones, and like something that it's not related, but credit card, crypto credit cards have been a frenzy like now, right? We have been seeing a lot of cards reaching the market, getting adoption. You is an example here in Brazil doing that with Noses. So yeah, like it's a new market that's emerging and it's emerging very fast and with a strong position. How about you, Tony? How's everything? I think I caught Tony in the wrong moment, but how's everything?
Wait, I'll help Tony. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, yeah.
Tony, I got it. I got
I got
it.
you. Yeah, yeah.
Now, yes, guys. Good to be here. Good to see you and good to connect, Nelson. So I'm here at São Paulo to represent Mike at Token Nation. Token Nation is a big event, uh, uh, focusing on Web3 and AI, the old NFT Brazil, and a lot of communities here. A lot of DJs communities. So very good event to connect with them and to see some synergies and the power of the community here in Brazil. I really like it a lot, and I was here to represent Mike panel in a DJ panel and to support the client Rails, that is a big client here in Brazil, doing the Brazil on chain campaign.
Perfect. Yeah. Rails, for those that don't know, is helping to create the central bank digital currency of Brazil, REX. Beyond that, they are connecting blockchain with the banks. So big banks here in Latam, Santander, Banco BV, and others. They're connecting themselves to DeFi through Rails, which is very,
Mhm.
very interesting as well. So it's good to have their activation in the Tokenation event. The thing is, Brazil and Latam slowly are catching up with this type of mindset to have a circuit of events through the year. So we have those in Asia, in Europe is pretty like
Mhm.
set up. Now in Latin America, we are figuring out that as well right now. So just to start our conversation, Nelson suggested this topic: why accelerators don't work anymore. And I want to ask you, Nelson, like, what's wrong about accelerators?
Yeah. How much time do we have? Because this
Yeah.
is it's going to take a while. So, just to give you a background, um, my experience in tech in general goes back to 2011. Always in the topics or the verticals of developing leadership, building teams, and organizational design. That put me quite close to startups right from the start. In 2017 is when I joined blockchain, applying these three verticals to Web3 projects and founders. Just kind of raising my hand and saying, "Hey, this is my expertise. Let me do this for you." So I've seen the struggles of the founders since at least 2017. This evolved into me advising for a couple of accelerators and VCs as well. So seeing the other side of the funnel, what are the investor interests as well, and in advising for a couple of these accelerators, I noticed that it became real easy for accelerators to replicate this bootcamp model that really dilutes the value and ends up serving nobody, neither the investors nor the startups. Yes. And again, I've worked for some of these accelerators, so I can talk trash about them and it's all love still, you know? So you can talk shit about your family, nobody else can. So it's in that spirit that I talk shit about accelerators because I hope they would do better in general. But basically, what you see a lot of today is this easily replicated model of boot camps where everything is online. So you put up 5, 6 weeks maybe of 2, 3 days per week of 2, 3 hours per day. A lot of Zoom little windows, Zoom classes of either streamed content or worse, pre-recorded, and you just buy some mentors like IP for a class and you spam everybody with it. Um, the value really becomes diluted to the founders or the startups engaging in it because unless the mentor, which usually comes from a sponsoring company, who's there to shill their project, their service provider at you rather than teach you anything, unless the mentor puts a little QR code on the last slide, you don't even know how to reach out to this person after that class is done, for example. So it became really kind of a class certification model with no real mentorship other than just okay, so you sit down, look at this video, and then fork over equity, and we'll touch on that.
Mhm.
For the investor side, it's also representing zero de-risking of the startups because you can do 20 pre-recorded online boot camps per year and you're just filling up the pipeline for your investors, but it's the same as if they go fishing in a pond because there's no de-risking, there's no filtering of the startups that they get.
No.
You just spam them with startups because the more startups you show in your portfolio growth, that became the only KPI, and survivability right now embarrasses most accelerators if you ask them about it. Yeah. All of them use the argument, yeah, well, we need 1,000 startups to get 5 unicorns. Yes, but then show me the 5 unicorns after 5 years, and they don't still. So what's become the model for most accelerators is just getting equity. So they'll churn out these low value adding boot camps that happen online. Nobody cares about them. It's a certification program. There's no real traction, no IQ, no funding at the end. And basically, what this means is you get your portfolio to grow, and then you ask these startups for 8, 10, 12%. I've seen equity or token allocation for absolutely no value add. So working with a couple of these models, I grew a little bit frustrated with it. And this is when I met Feder and Fazil, the founders of XFounders, and we're doing something completely different now. We'll go into it in a bit, but this is kind of what I have to say in terms of why it's become so easy for accelerators to just serve themselves and completely give up on serving the startups and the investors, which are they're supposed to be the bridge in between, and they've completely given up on this and measuring themselves completely by the wrong metrics. So this is what most of the accelerators nowadays do for a fact. It's become too easy, and that's why credibility in the whole accelerator space means less and less. So you have the big YCs, Techstars, Outliers, A16Z. They'll put out quality programs for sure, but it's for the top 0.05% of startups out there, and still they'll be predatory and ask them for 12-15% of token allocation or equity, and at the end of the day it still serves themselves more than they serve startups and investors, which is kind of what should be the ethos of any accelerator.
Yeah, I was talking with Arshwin. He is leading. He used to run Hadron Founders Club in Polygon.
Mhm,
Now he's leading the founder club, I would say, or incubator of Forma in the Solana ecosystem.
mhm,
And one thing that we concluded in the conversation is that most of the time accelerators, as you said, for investors, they serve as a curation or a badge mechanism, right? For
mhm,
the risking the investments, because the same applies to universities. Like I think was
sure.
one that were telling me some time ago that the most common thing about the last funding stages of the funding rounds that some startups they did like recently, it was they shared the same universities, so
Mhm,
in the curriculum. So it is interesting that this serves as a badge of course these founders they need to make a lot of effort to be really good, because as you said, like the 0.1% only will get in, so they must be good. And then
mhm,
I can deploy my capital without having this pre-created process. And I think most accelerators like they profit in that upside, right? Pre Y Combinator, they are valued in such amount, and then
mhm.
after Y Combinator, their valuation skyrockets, right? So yeah, I think that was like the basic model for most of the accelerators. What we're doing like that, which is different from or it's basically the same thing but with a different incentive mechanism. What's different
Mhm.
there?
Basically, everything's different apart from the basic accelerator funnel, which is you serve the investors and you serve the startups. Yes, and that's kind of the key here. So what we're doing and the way we run our boot camps, we're going in a sense deeper in this value exchange, and that's why our model means we have to do things the backbreaking way for ourselves, but the value adding way for everybody else. So looking at an X Founders boot camp, first of all, we run 4-week long boot camps that happen in person. Yes. So the founders, all of them fly to the same location, and for a month, they work together, they learn together, they eat together. They stay the whole month in the same venue as well. They co create, they solve the same issues together, they exchange their experiences. So it's much more intense than just, you see these people 4 hours a week for a couple of weeks. So that's one. Secondly, the mentors fly over and they spend not for 40 minutes talking at you through a little Zoom window. They spend 3 to 4 days with you on site, workshopping your problems with you. There's real life application to the things these mentors can help you with, apart from the master classes as well. When these mentors join in from sponsoring companies, the conversion rates from startups to partners or to customers is much, much higher. Because guess what? When you spend 3 to 4 days with a potential customer, the trust is built and the possibilities of conversion to a customer are much, much higher. Not only that, the investors fly over. They spend 3 to 4 days at a time also on site with these startup founders. There's no better way of due diligence than spending. I mean, I always say it's always the noob investor and the Jedi investor that invest because they like the founder. It's in the mediocrity hump in the middle that most people kind of get lost into the tokenomics and the roadmap and the milestones and all of that good stuff. But it's usually the very newbie investor and the very, very wise Jedi investor that say, I like the founder. So spending 3 to 4 days on site, actually getting to know these founders for more than 3 minutes in a pitch. Come on. This
Yeah.
is why for our demo day, for example, we don't pitch you 30 VCs and then it's six people there. And again, five of which with our cameras turned off. We actually fill a room with 30 plus investors, most of which fly to the location to be there attending the room. And that's why we get checks being written up to 250K, like in the previous bootcamp, because they spend 3 to 4 days getting to know the founders. Yes. What's the downside? Well, for us, it means it's a hell of a lot of work. Yeah. So right now, we're a 9 people team. I can get the team to do 2 boot camps this year and 4 boot camps next year. But actually, we want to scale the team because we want to go from 4 to 6 and from 6 to 8. Yes. But more than that, we have other plans as well. But this is why we don't do 20 bullshitty online, boot camps. We could do 50 of those if we pre-record all of the content, but it requires being on location. It requires having staff there. It requires partnerships too. So basically, our bootcamp model, we go beyond. So you were saying that the valuation of companies increases after they've gone certain programs like a university. It's like a certificate. We
Yeah.
want to go beyond the certification. I mean, much respect to some of the accelerators out there, zero respect for most of them, but we want to go beyond. We want to go beyond the certification uh, 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 merit of, oh, you've gone through this particular boot camp or this accelerator. That increases your valuation. We want to bring you actual IQ. We want to bring you top-notch mentors like we did from AWS. We had the head of Web3 there. From Solana, we had the the senior VP of technology there. uh, we want to actually bring you IQ. We want to actually bring investors to spend 4 days with you. We want to give you IQ funding resources, which is kind of what most accelerators have completely given up on. And they just want to run you through this certification program. And what's sad is that most startups are starting to look to bootcamps as a certification program. They want to just get the stamp. They're not invested. If you look at some of these founders, they'll be working on the same screen they're supposed to be watching a workshop from one of these accelerators. So we want to actually bring the value back to the space, and obviously this reflects itself on the value we bring to the startups. I think it's clear to the partners as well, and to investors too, because for each bootcamp we'll start with a funnel of about 2,000 startups to get to the final 10. Yes. And this is the de-risking part that accelerators should. I don't care about bringing to my investors like 200 startups per year if I barely look at them, or if I just evaluate them based on their pitch deck. I want to look at traction, and traction takes time. And if it's not there, I want to give you a bootcamp that helps you bring traction. Yes. And I want to give 10 startups per bootcamp to my investors instead of the 200 that I barely look at, and I just kind of spray and pray, hoping nobody asks me about a KPI that goes beyond how many startups per year.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I have like one question that goes like, creation, like the creation process is very hard in my view, and that in super team, when working with the startups, we had the need to figure out to have all the pieces together, right? You mentioned
Mhm.
investors, there is the mentors, there is the startups. Essentially, we are creating a marketplace of parts that want to do business with each other, right?
Mhm.
But these parts, they need to be good, and not only great, they need to be available for to join this whole mechanism, right?
Mhm.
Because they need to have the will to participate in and dance with you this dance, right? um, the demo days that we hosted last year in Brazil, they were very, like, we aligned them with big events. So every time that
Mhm.
we had a big event in Brazil, we did in the same city or inside the venue of the big event, because we knew that everyone would be more or so in the same room. So we catch everyone and okay, here we are an investor, you are a mentor, you are a promising startups, you're here all together. Um, but the quality, like it's a quite a equation. If you have a hard time on or of attracting these people, uh,
Hmm.
then the quality drops because you
Hmm.
are accepting everyone,
Hmm.
because you need to fill the room, right? Um, and the thing that I think is a killer factor for you what you guys are doing, it is the reality show,
Yes.
because there is this attention market that we live in, right? The attention economy that we are in. The society is all about that, right? If someone or some meme or some narrative gains momentum and attention, they attract all of sort of talent, all capital, all the other resources follow on attention. Um, so that I wanted for you to tap real quick on how did you guys build the idea of reality show? How was the experience? Because I think it serves both having good quality, because good quality people want to join because of that, because
Hmm.
it grabs attention, and because of that it generates a lot of good creation, and you don't need to make as much effort to bring quality people and quality investment as well.
100%. So here's a little thing. Again, it's not that difficult if you're willing to do things the right way. And sometimes the right way means values, and sometimes the right way means business, and sometimes it's both. So when you talk about attracting the right partners for some of these initiatives, just to touch on that point, one of the things that was very clear for us right from the start was to be fair and offer exclusivity. What does this mean for partners? Any partner, and if you go on the reality show on the episodes there, you'll see where we advertise for Travala, Rad.pay. You were talking about PayFi in credit and debit cards
Mhm.
and crypto. OKX, actually, they came to us wanting to be featured on the show. So we offer exclusivity. This means that unlike other accelerators as well, other boot camps, you don't have this approach where on Tuesday, Gate.io is there telling the startups to list on Gate. And on Thursday, Kraken is telling them, forget Gate, come list on Kraken. Yes, again,
Mhm.
this is just being greedy. You serve nobody. You get money from both sides and you give both sides the finger. So what we do is we offer exclusivity. This means if you're a centralized exchange, if you're a payments provider, on and off ramping company, a market maker, a PR and media company, a marketing company, for example, if you join our bootcamp and therefore our reality show, and I'll explain the mechanics in a minute, you're the only one in that vertical of the service that you provide in Web3 that will be featured in the bootcamp or the reality show. So you have no competition. So this is a very strong value proposition that we come to the market with, and it helps attract the attention of the best players. This is how we got MasterCard. This is how we got AWS. So this is how we got Abhishek from Binance as well in previous bootcamps. We actually every the process that people say, oh yeah, that would be the right approach to have it. We actually go and that actually do the hard work. We walk the walk in that direction. So for the reality show as well, everybody talks in Web3, everybody talks about mass adoption. How about we talk about mass attention for starters? Because you go to any panel, you go to any conference, you go to any AMA on Twitter, everybody's demanding mass adoption from normies. And part of the problem is we keep calling them normies instead of speaking their language. How about we kind of stop this circle jerk and come down of this Web3 pedestal and start talking to people in the language that they understand? So our reality shows viral, sure. Then let's just fucking do one, and let's not be snob about it, or let's not um, try to pretend we're above it. Let's stop talking about mass adoption and having these forums where it's all EVM, ZK, whatever that people don't care about. I use QR codes every day. I don't care how QR codes work. You'll never hear me asking, how does a QR code work? I don't care. I just want to scan the thing and have it link me to somewhere. So, do we want mass adoption? For sure. How about we talk mass attention first? So, the idea behind the reality show is not to have something that's a gimmick or just so we can kick the media door in because it's profitable, which it is for sure. The idea is to have an actual go-to-market strategy for all of our brands, for the accelerator, and for the startups as well. So for the startups, you have this first boost of acceleration during the boot camp where you get the IQ, the funding, the resources. 6 months later, the reality show comes out and it's hundreds of thousands of viewers per episode that we're averaging now. Yeah. So whether you're B2B, whether you're B2C, not only it's a great visibility platform, it's an actual conversion tool that you can get for these for your products and for your services. Yes. So that's number one. For all of our brands as well, maximizing exposure through the reality show throughout the whole. OKX was not natively integrated into the previous bootcamp we had with Solana, but they understood the value of the reality show. And if you go to any episode, we're advertising OKX there, and you'll hear my voice just going, scan this QR code, get $5 on your first chance, whatever. But it's there because these brands, they see the value in what we're doing. So the mechanics of it goes well beyond, it's not like Shark Tank where you meet founders, but you forget their name the moment they walk out the door because you've known them for 3 minutes.
Yes.
It's every episode that's an hour long. You get not just the backstory, you get the product, you get what they're building. Every episode is broken in workshop segments. So you come for the virality of the reality show. We spoon feed you education about Web3. And then it's like a high adrenaline activity. Like we'll send the founders hiking up a volcano at 3 a.m. We'll have them scuba diving, doing a bunch of stuff. That's also highly engaging. But the idea is that this is a go-to-market tool for all of the brands associated, for the startups, and for our brand as XFounders as well. So this is something I always like to make clear. It's not a gimmick. It's not a DGen let's say, reality show meets pop culture meets Web3. This is an actual go-to-market tool for all of us, and this is the idea behind it. Yes, it's something that nobody else is doing, merging the accelerator space and the media space, and it's working very, very well for all of the brands and all of the startups associated with us. And more than the differentiating factor, that's something nobody else had the balls to do so far, and it's turning out quite well for us. So we also have big plans for it. So that's something that definitely the ethos behind it is, let's stop being hypocritical and stop talking about mass adoption when we're not willing to step down or step up even to the mass audiences we want to reach and start speaking their language and start capturing their attention, because people buy the products their attention is captured by,
Mhm.
and they don't care about what is zero knowledge proof of whatever. They just want something that's entertaining, and they will scan the QR code even if they don't understand how it works.
Yeah, perfect. And you summarized it well. I think Tony is thoughtful about if Tony wants to add on something.
Something that I was thinking about, it's what is the the principal use cases that you saw in the previous edition, like that you saw like during this month, that maybe won't happen in another place, that you see like some founder connect with another, create something new, or like
Mhm.
what you can bring like expression from different accelerators.
Very good. So, because number one, in regards to the bootcamp, because we actually put in work to bring the funding and the resources and the IQ into our boot camps, the founders joining the boot camps, they're not just looking for validation, blind validation, or a certification, or a little bit of encouragement. Now give me 12%. I hope you make it out there, and I don't want to hear from you again. We had at least three very interesting use cases from the past bootcamp. So number one, we had Mars Base, who developed a completely new product throughout the bootcamp. Yes, so this is a direct result of us and the mentors challenging. Actually, I have another challenging their products, and nobody's there to just bullshit you and tell you, oh, you're doing a great job now. Just please come in, like a restaurant, like come in quickly, eat quickly, and fuck off quickly because I need to fill this table again. So we challenge actually the idea. So Mars Base now actually put out a brand new product, which is actually a pretty good idea. Victor, you'll like this. It's all about internet capital markets, and it's about how startups and VCs can get liquidity, for example, from their SAFs. So in a way, it's about tokenizing illiquid assets, but you can turn them into liquidity basically through crowdsourcing also liquidity through the communities that you raise. So I'll send you information about this as well. But basically, a new product line for one of the startups. On another case, we had Haven, who completely pivoted their product, and they came in a startup with one narrative, and they left the bootcamp with a completely different narrative as well. Again, as a result of being challenged, of actually learning something, spending 1 month challenging their ideas throughout the bootcamp. And we have, for example, Folks Finance. They were the biggest DeFi protocol on Algorand, and Algorand lost them to Solana because through the bootcamp, they realized that multi-chain was the way for them. So actually, Algorand lost their biggest DeFi protocol to a multi-chain roadmap now because they realized through the bootcamp, oh, this is the way for us forward. Yes. So there's actual change in growth. I wonder why. It's almost rare to say this about bootcamps, but there's actual change in growth and pivoting and shift in narratives throughout our bootcamps because we build them to be this way. Again, it's so easy to just build this auto car wash machine where cohorts just come and go and they leave exactly the same as they started and they fork over 12% or 6% or whatever, but we actually put in the work. So these are three great use cases from the past, from our past boot camps. And yeah, and by the way, we don't get 6 or even 12 or 8% equity. On average, we take 2% equity or token allocations, which is what allows us to get amazing startups that are all 1 to 5 mil in evaluation already. They already have 1 to 5 mil in investment already.
Mhm.
They're already revenue generating, so these are fully fledged businesses, and either have a token or TGE 3 and 9 months down the line. So we're way past ideation stage here, and all of the startups you hear me talking about, the average valuation for our boot camps is 30 mil. Folks Finance, for example, 75 mil, and from all of them we get 2%. So we're very, again, values first, founder friendly first, which is how we get to target these pre-series A startups, and we're not talking about MVP or ideation stage startups anyway. So yeah, I just wanted to share a couple of use cases there.
Amazing, also amazing. Please, thanks to share with us.
Yeah, and one thing that I would like to ask you is like to be a founder is you to be a good founder, of course, a successful one. You need to have a lot of qualities. It's not about skills anymore. Like to be a good employee,
Mm,
good builder, it's about all about skills. To be a founder, it's about qualities. It's a different game. It's about how you deal with situations, how you deal with problems, the balance between confidence and humility to understand what you are getting right and what we're getting wrong, and hard work. I would say one good example. They were not in an accelerator program, but they deal with the situation as such. So they try it. I love these guys. They were part of the OG members of Super Team. So they were in Islandau in Greece, the first edition last year. It was a 1 month long pop-up city. It wasn't an accelerator. They didn't have any program related, but they had was workshops here and there, connections between each other. The idea was more to try out a pop up city, see what happens. It was one of the first of its kind in the Solana ecosystem. It was very like networking, hangout, experimental thing. And what the triad guys did is that every single day they were in the venue. Every single day they were talking with people. Every single day they were iterating a little bit their ideas. And at the end of the month, everyone knew them. In the recap video, everyone were talking about these Brazilian guys that were doing triad, and they actually were able to raise a lot of angel investing from these guys that were joining the Island DAO. It wasn't formal, but it was like they did an NFT drop at the time, to join this the like to be for these people to be stakeholders of Triad. Like they really they really created in my mind a playbook of how a founder should behave in such situation, because they really were there and showcasing their abilities of navigating and building during Islandau. And yeah, but I would ask you, what kind of factors do you look for
Mhm.
good founders? Like for
Yeah.
you are dealing with founders like directly right now and like in an intense environment, like what you think qualifies a good founder and a not so good founder as well.
I think you hit a couple of really interesting topics there. So this is what I always say: founder is a verb; it's not a noun. Yes, you do a founder. You do being a founder. You don't am being a founder. You know,
Mm,
every time I ask them, what makes you a good founder, if they go on a lot about I am this, I am that, I don't care. I'll cut them short. I'll move to the next topic. When I ask people to describe themselves as a founder, and they say, "I do this, I do that, I try for this, I engage in that," that makes me a lot more interested. So being a founder really is a verb. What you do defines you as a founder, not what you are. Yeah. So that's number one. It's really kind of walking the walk and understanding that you are a great founder in as much as you do. And it's not so much about results, which a lot of people also kind of try to get obsessed about, but it's really how much work you put in. So that's number one. Like, understand that it's what you do that defines you as a founder, not what you are or how many badges you got, and so on and so forth, which again is aligned with the spirit of our boot camps, where we get you in there to actually walk the walk, not just to go through the certification program and then, I went through this accelerator, so give me more money. So number one is understanding that you're as much of a good founder as the work you're willing to put into. Yeah. Number two, don't fall. It's having. So you mentioned humility. I would say it's a balance between ego and humility. Every great founder, I think, needs to have an unreasonable amount of arrogance. It's good for a founder to be arrogant in the sense that it takes arrogance to believe you can push a new product or solution into the world in the complete absence of evidence that you can actually do it. Because if you're doing it right, it'll be the first time you're trying. So in the presence of zero evidence, for you to believe I can bring this idea from the world of abstraction into the physical material world of things that exist. This is a godlike power that founders have. It's like Prometheus fire. You're bringing something from this holy divine world of ideas where everything is possible, and you're bringing it to the very material, physically bound world of things that exist. And you need arrogance to believe you can do it in the absence of evidence, because only trying will prove you right or wrong. In the same sense, you need the humility to not be obsessed with the solution you brought, but to be obsessed with the problem instead. I always tell founders, don't marry the solutions that you thought of, marry the problem. Because if you marry the solution, for sure you're going to find out that maybe the solution doesn't work, but your ego is going to keep you focused, and your pride will kill you, and it'll keep you focused on that solution, trying again, uh, pivoting, but focusing on the same things, going for consecutive rounds of funding. If it's not the product, it's marketing. If it's not marketing, it's the market. So consecutively following in the same mistake of being obsessed with the same solution after being proven that it doesn't work. Whereas if you fall in love with a problem, you're going to try your hardest to solve that problem. And that's a better, I'm not being an idealist here. This is empirically.
mhm.
There's a better statistical probability of actually succeeding with your startup if you focus and iterate solutions, focusing on the problem rather than continuing to focus on the same solution. Yeah. So this is if you're a startup. If you're Apple, you are afforded the luxury of pushing out basically the same iPhone every year, and people will still buy it. But in any case, if you're a startup, focusing on a problem is a higher indicator of success than focusing on the solution you have for that problem. So having this balance between ego and humility is always a great indicator as well. And then I would say restlessness. Like I like my founders uh, in closed doors, I would say, but I'm comfortable here. In closed doors, I would say I like my founders miserable and hungry and unsuccessful because that's what's going to make them restless. You know, it's this hunger. Let's say hungry, and hungry can describe a lot. So I like the founders hungry before they get comfortable, before they get, full of themselves or of their solutions, and they spend more time. Uh, in parties or talking about how well they're doing and spend less time actually managing the company. So having this restlessness, I think, is also a great indicator of success for founders. Victor, you and I spent some time in Dubai recently. This is where we met.
Yeah.
The amount of founders that I met there, that for every million they make, they spend 900K on the lifestyle is saddening. It's more than concerning because it's not my money. I don't care, but it's saddening. What I always tell founders when they get there is, sure, go to Dubai, get the funding, get the network, get a plane out of Dubai. Because if you spend more than 2 years there, either on an expensive partner or on expensive partners trying to impress them with table service that costs 20K an hour, you're going to lose your mindset. You will not be a founder. That's when you start saying I am a founder rather than saying I do a founder. So this restlessness about actually building is also something that I look for, and it's easier to lose than you think. So yeah, these will be kind of the three qualities I look for.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. All
Mm,
aspects. Third one, it's I think it's the untold truth. Most of the time,
yeah.
I think João could add something on there as well because he is a great example of someone that is striving in that way, that is like pushing forward for that direction. What to say, João?
I don't know, man. Like it is a hard job, and I think like every journey is a bit different and a bit special. So it's like, and it's very power law as well, right? So like you have the extreme outcomes, and the extreme outcomes they sort of they are unique.
Mhm.
Um, and ah, I don't know, being a founder and trying to put myself in the shoes of people that runs boot camps seems like one of the hardest jobs possible because like it depends on the sort of problem you're tackling, right? So if you're doing B2C, it's completely different than B2B. Uh, Depending on what sort of distribution you're doing, it will be like a different skill set that will take the most out of it. Some verticals you need to go a lot deeper in product and actually be super technical. So if we look at, I know, I think Vitalik is like amazing founders, like amazing. The guy is not your prototypical founder, right? And I think he's one of the best possible founders like living here. But it's a weird problem, right? He's building a decentralized thing. So it cannot be that egotistical. It's like a different mindset, it's different way to build community. I don't think he fits the bill for a lot of PC mindset, but the guy is amazing, right? And like behaviorally speaking. Uh, so I don't know. It's a hell of a problem. That's my current state of thinking.
Yeah, and what I like about the picnic story is that you guys didn't raise a lot of money, and it like at the first proceed, and you guys endured all the bear market, and it was like this bear market. It was every bear market is very tough, but these ones with like Luna crash and FTX crash and everything in crypto uh, felt like could be not could not exist next month because everything were like ruining and showing the cracks. So it was very interesting to see Picnic enduring this time without have any PMF. And now when you guys got into PMF, like after crossing this gap, it was amazing to see. Because you guys, I think it's a proof of endurance, and it's like you know this. I have been reading a lot this book lately about grit, like from Web two friends and Web three friends. I think there's a lot of this mindset like in the table that if you don't have you can have you don't need actually a lot of the hard skills right now because AI is doing a lot of our jobs in that sense. What you need is qualities, human qualities, and I think one of those are grit, and one of the most important. And grit is you can have context with that, right? Um, you can have grit for one thing and not for another. You can have moments of grit that you need to have it, or you have passionate about something and you just don't care and got obsessed about it, and it shows grit as well. But yeah, I have been seeing this mindset surging a lot. I don't think it's new, but I think it's getting some momentum. Uh, yeah, I totally agree. Uh,
Yeah.
if you want to
No,
go,
I was just gonna say, yeah, I was just gonna say it's interesting how we're now looking at the reversal of the poles, where greed is good and humility is bad, in the sense of ambition, wanting more, wanting to rise above your randomly assigned condition at birth is a good thing. And humility, in the sense of staying in your place, feeling like you're smaller than what you're entitled to, not pushing for more, is being seen as a negative thing in society. I think a lot of the original positions of both greed is bad and humility is good definitely pushed in societies where we have a stronger Judeo-Christian mentality, as well. This is another podcast, but mostly as a form of social engineering and social control, where it's important to sell mindsets of lack of challenging the status quo as a virtue. So don't get educated. Don't get more than a farmer's job. Don't question the educated elite. So nowadays, I think we find, also thanks to globalization, that the poles are kind of being reversed, and more we're seeing even the younger generations, regardless of their religious background, challenging this idea. And really, if you hear somebody speaking as humble, you'll read it as lack of ambition, and if you hear somebody speaking from a greed mindset, you'll read it as ambitious. So it's interesting to see how quote unquote values in society, especially in Western society now, more than Asia, are kind of being reversed. So that's actually very, very interesting.
yeah, yeah. And at the same time, humility is very important as well, because it's as you said about problems and solutions. Like you get married, or sometimes you get too passionate about some solution,
Yeah.
and they forgot that at the end of the day you need to solve some problem, or you are bridging
Yeah.
some gap. You need to be dynamic. You need to forge ways. It's not there yet. It's not you're not destined to fill out this gap with this exact solution. um
Yeah.
and then
Be humble enough to want to serve, but be egotistical enough to believe you can.
yeah,
It's kind
that
of
you're
this
the best.
balance here.
Yeah, that you're
But
the best to the
you
job.
definitely start by being humble enough to wanting to serve others, because that's where by wanting to make it a better world, wanting to change the world. I think that's the best starting point, and then comes the ego making you believe you can do it.
Yeah, that's interesting. And let me one thing that I wanted to tap into is that there is this, like, I like hackathons. I love hackathons. I was with João in my last hackathon that I joined as participant 2 years ago, I think, more or
Hmm.
so. We won hackathon in Ethereum Argentina. We won 3 prizes there. It was very cool. It was amazing. It was like we were together, me, João, Lauro Gripa, which was one of the creators of the ambassador program of Polkadot. Then we had Danny Schaber, which is a friend of ours that I used to work with, and Estevam. We were a lot of people that we were a group of people that liked each other, liked to build something together, but we never had the chance to build something together. And we were in Argentina. Why not? Why not to make a project in the hackathon? I think it was a fun ride, and we won 3 prizes there, which was a very nice experience. But what I don't like about hackathons is that sometimes you need to marry the solution because you are sponsored to marry the solution, right?
Hmm.
Because if you don't marry the solution, uh, you don't get the prize, right? Um, so what are your take on that? Because for example, in Ipe City, that was a pop-up city that happened here in Florianopolis
Hmm.
in May, in April and May. The idea it was that you will not get married to any tool, any technology, because sometimes the way to solve the problem is not with crypto, it's with AI maybe,
Hmm.
or with another technology. I don't know. And we got pretty clear challenges, pretty clear verticals of societal problems, so health, security, governance, that need to be solved. And the idea is that it's techno optimistic and agnostic in which technology you're gonna use to solve that.
Hmm.
What are your take on that? And yeah, I want to hear about it from you.
Yeah, I think hackathons definitely serve a model. Um, if I'd have to say what's the biggest, so if I were to, let's put it this way, if I were to sponsor a hackathon, I'd be putting in the money and the effort and the time to spot talent rather than products. If you
Mm,
look at the product survivability rate of any hackathon after 6 months, it's like 0.5% maybe, because people who from the get-go, people who become good at hackathons, they don't care if they're asked to build a solution on Solidity or Rust or for this chain or for that chain. They don't care. In a good sense, they're bounty hunters. So they'll go for whatever grant is available. In that sense, they're not married to a solution. They'll marry the solution for the purposes of the presentation of a hackathon. As long as the grants keep coming, for sure, man. Whatever. The optimism is the way to go. Scroll is the way to go. So, in a sense, they're not that married to a solution, I would argue, but I would definitely put in the effort to spot talent rather than products. Yes,
yeah,
because that's, I mean, anybody who's good, and you'll know this better than I do even, anybody who's good, they'll have a track record of hackathons on many different platforms. They'll have 10, 15, 20 plus products that are great ideas. They're just on the shelf, and they'll be on the shelf until somebody comes and funds it. So I would be looking for talent in a hackathon so I can pay for that talent to work for my problem, not solution, for my problem as an ecosystem or as a chain or a protocol or whatever. So I think hackathons definitely serve a purpose. Um, my scope when I look at a hackathon and when I talk to teams at hackathons are definitely around the talent, not so much around the product. I don't expect survivability rate from a product. I don't expect, like, it's as much the investors or the ecosystem's fault to be disappointed with hackathons as it is for the hacking teams. The problem is the hacking teams are always made to blame and to feel shitty because their products didn't take off, because the expectations from the ecosystems are
yeah,
not aligned. You take any good team from a hackathon, you give them the incentive to work on your problem, you get the ROI from the hackathon many times over. The problem is you hope the next big idea, the next big product is going to come, the next $1 billion startup is going to come from a hackathon, and you're paying them 5K or 10 or 15K to spend a weekend working on something. It's not going to happen. That's not what they're there for. So as an ecosystem, don't come crying because you've spent 100K on a couple of hackathons at Token 2049 or DEF CON, and after 6 months, all the ideas are dead. Yes, of course they are, because you're betting on horses and you're tracking the dogs. That's not the value you should be taking from a hackathon. So I definitely think hackathons have a purpose. I just don't think the purpose of a hackathon is to get great products, is to get great talent. And I mean, if I ask any prize winner from any hackathon, would they focus on one solution if they had the right incentive, or one problem if they had the right incentive? For sure. And any chain betting on the right people, the right talent, the right team from a hackathon, giving them an incentive for long-term cooperation. Hey, come work on my problem for a while. They'd get the return many times over. But no, they hope the next 100th iteration of a game that runs on top of Telegram is going to be their next $1 billion startup. No, it's not. That's what it is. So yeah, I think hackathons kind of have their value. They have their space. I just think it's time for an update on the expectations we have from hackathons.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of these programs, acceleration, hackathons, they serve a lot of people at the same time. So as you're saying, like the participants, the talent itself, the teams,
Mhm.
the ecosystems, and then have this bridge, which is the program, the hackathon program, the acceleration program between investors and startups. Of course, for different stages, at different levels of course, in a hackathon, it's very nonsense to think that in 3 days or in a week you can build something that will give the solution of a whole market or something like that. It's impossible to have like that kind of expectation. Um, but at the same time, you feel that at the same, it's about game theory. It's about designing the good incentive,
Mhm.
designing the right incentives for each part. And you mentioned a really good aspect of hackathons is that you can spot people that can just make the thing done, like just make things work in real small time and make sense. Like even it's not the best solution for the problem. Of course, it's not the
Mhm.
best solution because you don't have time for that. But it's such a short period of time and a lot of caffeine, and you can get to a solution that is good enough and that works, which is amazing. Just spot talent, as I was saying. Good.
And it's proof of work, which is something we often say so much here. It's like it tells you who's willing to put in the work. It tells you who's fancy and over engineers a solution just for, again, ego. It tells
Yeah,
you who has some simple but beautiful language and how they design a solution. Again, I find a lot more information. I get a lot more data from the talent at hackathons than the products at hackathons. So overall, so I think you're spot on.
yeah. And one question is like, what's next for X founders? What their guys are planning, and yeah,
So I'm really excited about what's coming actually. So we're just on the back of having done one bootcamp in 2023 for ICP, for pre-seed stage startups. We did one bootcamp last year for Solana, for seed stage startups in Bali, on top of which we did the reality show, now out on YouTube. And this year, we're doing two boot camps. So we're 2xing the amount of boot camps this year, in essence, with the same team, which we have an amazing, outstanding team. Again, show me another accelerator who's planning 6 boot camps ongoing with 7 people now, 9 people, if you count the founders. So this year we're doing 2 boot camps, one in October in Bali with Flare, and one in August in El Salvador with StarkNet around the Bitcoin ecosystem. And El Salvador, because country in the world with the strongest Bitcoin narrative, of course, we
yeah,
have really great government, institutional, and family from my side relations there. So we did in like 4 days of prepping what any other external agent would take months to do. We're really tapped into the local leadership ecosystem, the institutional ecosystem, even again the government, and but even Bitcoin maxis who were there, who talked to nobody, because maxis can be a little bit toxic. We all know that, but we got really good relations with them there as well. So really showing the Bitcoin ecosystem some love. Actually, applications are open right now for startups building on Bitcoin or interested in building on Bitcoin. That's for this year. For next year, we're doing 4 boot camps. So right now it's May of 2025. We are already signed up for 4 boot camps next year. So it's Solana again, it's Ripple, it's Stellar and Algorand as well. And we will have more. We're planning more boot camps for next year as well, but that's depending on the team scaling. So on just the amount of startups that we're helping and what that means for our investors, in 2 years, we're going from 1 bootcamp per year to 4 bootcamps per year. So unless we start doing 16 per year, we're at this irrepeatable point in our history of hyperscaling, where we're basically going from 10 to 90 startups that we'll have in our portfolio in the next 18 months, let's say. So this is really exciting. We just closed a round for 700K from angel investors. We're opening out a round now for 3 mil from VCs as well on a strategic front. So that's also exciting. And in August, we're shooting the next season of the reality show, again, to give El Salvador as the country with the strongest Bitcoin ecosystem, tech friendly, startup friendly, Bitcoin friendly. Like, it's easy to set up a startup around Bitcoin there. People just don't know. El Salvador's push for Bitcoin goes well beyond just pushing the button on the schedule and buying more Bitcoin at that time. It's really the infrastructure is there, the legal framework is there, and we want to showcase all of that in the reality show. So a lot of great things coming for us, a lot of work as well, and yeah, man, it makes you wake up in the morning and not need coffee because you're excited about what's coming. And one of the things I am excited about is to welcome you, my friend Victor, at the El Salvador Bootcamp, because this is Major Alpha.
Awesome.
Victor will be joining us at the El Salvador Bootcamp as one of our mentors. Really excited about this. You inspired me from day one, and the way you talk about community and the way you talk the values in Web3, I think resonates a lot about what we're trying to do with XFounders. Like, it is for the people, it is for community, it is for a good greater than ourselves. And in that sense, the humility of wanting to serve and the ego of believing you can. And just when I got home back from Dubai, I immediately spoke with Fedor and Fazil, like, you got to get to know this guy and so on and so forth. So I'm just really excited that this is the beauty of Web3. And when did I get back from Dubai? Maybe 3 weeks ago. Within 3 or 4 weeks space, it went from me getting to know Victor at this random event in Dubai to now Victor being one of the mentors at the bootcamp, in-person bootcamp. So it also takes a lot more commitment and investment from Victor's time to actually make the effort to be there. And in just 3 or 4 weeks, it went from, "Hi, my name is Nelson. How are you? What are you doing here this evening?" to Victor being one of the mentors that, like, I'm feeling the best about having in our bootcamp. So really appreciate everything you're doing. And
Thank you.
one of the things that I'm excited about for XFound is actually having you as a mentor there. Yeah, for
Thank you.
sure, man.
Thank you. That's
Yeah,
that's nice. That's nice. But thanks you for the invite and for everything that you
for
guys are
sure.
doing. I think it's as I was saying. We discussed this in Dubai back in the day. We had um, we had such frustration with startups from Brazil that they got sometimes they really got real good products, really good momentum. Like sometimes they innovated first, then others got into their narrative, bigger names
Hmm.
with bigger funding got the visibility, and they grab all the market for themselves. I had personal experience with startups that I worked with. I had the experience in Super Team as well to have this like front running like later projects that had more capital and more resources in general. Because sometimes peripheral markets they don't have attention, they don't have visibility, and that's the good thing that you guys are doing. You guys are that this is the killer factor in today's like digital world. If you grab everyone's attention, you can do everything. So that's the
Yeah,
gap. This is the problem that we're solving, right? I think it's a very good way to showcase that. um,
thank
João
you.
or Tony, if you want to comment on something.
Enjoy El Salvador. I'm curious to learn how that goes.
Nice, nice. I will.
Will do for sure, man. You'll be able to see everything in it, and who knows? Victor being a star of one of the episodes for the next season as well.
Nice, nice. Yeah,
Only
it's very.
only congrats, Victor. Yeah, I think we have
Sorry.
to congrats you because you can create a lot of value for this company for sure. By talking about, I would say Victor have a special ability to connect a lot of different points from different brands from Web two for with Web three, and it's amazing to see it.
Nice, nice.
I've seen it too. Um, I'm a believer. The people that I hang out with, I say I'm usually a friend or a fan of. And with Victor, I'm still in the middle, but I for sure will be a friend or a friend and a fan of Victor for sure. But I definitely was sold in a good way on Victor's the ethos. He comes from a place of genuine belief that he can do things for the good. Victor, you're not listening to this. Don't let your ego get to your head. But for sure, it's I see why it's easy to believe in Victor, and he has a track record to prove it as well. So I'm very glad to have met him 100%.
Thanks. I'll be blushing here all day long.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks for accepting the invite, Nelson. It was awesome to showcase what you guys are building at X Founders. Thanks for the like. I think the good thing about the position that you have and the things that you're building is that you have the chance to be a thought leader in this space, to really
Thanks.
put narratives into practice. Because VCs, accelerators, even like established startup founders, they have this ability of creating the framework or creating the things that how the systems work, and create the right incentives as well, and to put that in place. So yeah, thanks for that. And that's it, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for this 84 people that are watching us right now. Thanks for that. And see you in the next live stream that we will, of course, host here. And thanks, Nelson, once more.
Thank you so much. Love what all you guys are doing. And for the 84 people in here, you're in the right place, right time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. See you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Thanks, Nelson.